Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to talk with Jeff Sokol. I had a chance to speak with him a few weeks ago. Jeff Sokol is a StrongFirst Elite coach. He trains at a Fuel House gym in Seattle, and he's just a fantastic guy. All right, so I always kick it off with a nice icebreaker question, and this is a very serious one. I like to hit them hard right at the beginning, so.
Thank you, first of all, for joining us.
I'm honored.
Hey, we are honored, sir. I like to start off with the really hard questions first. At what age did you last shart yourself?
Ooh, this is freaking embarrassing. This is in my 30s, and well, it happened. Yeah, so that was the last time, and hopefully the last time.
Actually, no one's ever answered it before.
Oh, great! That's Sokol for you.
Thank you for being so honest.
Oh, well, that's me.
No one has ever answered that question. So hats off to you, Jeff, for being such a great and honest guy. And for those viewers that are watching right now, I saved you the gory details. So if you really want to know what happened, you'll have to ask Jeff yourself. So after a few laughs, I asked Jeff to reshare his story on how he found kettlebells during one of the darkest moments of his life.
I first discovered kettlebells, gosh, let's say 2009-ish. Okay. And it was at a point in my life where I was an absolute mess. I mean, I was a mess. I'd let myself get up to like 240, 245, maybe even 250 at one point. I was still in this thing. I was going through divorce. That was during the housing crash, so I was getting ready to lose my house. It was actually a pretty fateful night. I don't know how it happened, but I was drinking whiskey, and so I wouldn't puke. I would eat one cracker and do whiskey. And the whole goal I had in my pistol here was to be done. Right. And I can't really say that it was this night that I ordered it, but a couple weeks later, this package shows up at my house, and it's this thing called Kettleworks. And I'd been seeing it on infomercials, but I really didn't know much about kettlebells. And it was this Canadian trainer to the stars, you know. It had 3 workouts in it. It was like kettlebell abs, kettlebell burn, kettlebell strong maybe. Nothing, no hardstyle movements. It was like gunslingers and I mean all kinds of crazy stuff. But it was 30 minutes a day where I was kind of just focusing on something, right, except for like, how do I get out of this fucking world? You know, excuse my French. Ended up through twists of fate, meeting Andrea Chang in Seattle. She had me do that 1-day course, the HKC at the time. And that's when I met Czar and a bunch of just awesome people. And I realized, wow, this is neat. You know, I mean, I saw true coaching and all this stuff, right? I got addicted. And then I set my goal on getting the RKC, and I got that in like 2010. And you know, I've just been somehow hustling at this career ever since.
That's awesome.
Before we went further in the conversation, I wanted to ask him what he thought led him to that point where he was contemplating suicide. And Jeff shared some great insights on his depression, how he manages it, you know, coping mechanisms, and, you know, seeking therapy.
I honestly think it started as a kid. When I try and look back at the roots of it all, you know, I grew up in a town of 1,000 people, a little logging town. You didn't really necessarily show your emotions, and all the men were loggers or millworkers, are just strong and maybe kind of angry. I don't know, you know, but you know, obviously we've all had childhood things that happened. I mean, but I don't want to go way deep into that. But I think it started there. And then I don't want to blame it on like heading to Somalia when I was 19 or whatever, but I served in that environment, and it was a major eye-opener. People today, when I look at them bitching about America, I just want to shake them and just be like, I'm not one of those people that says, love it or leave it, but if you don't love it, leave it. And you'll find out that you love it, right? But you know, people just going through this world, they get born, they're in self-driving cars, everything's coming to them, and they're, you know, bitching about shit. It's like, what? So that kind of changed my lifestyle, but there was certain events over there that could have pushed into that depression, anxiety type of stuff. Having that in my background, and then, you know, people go through hard shit all the time, and my shit's not harder than anybody else's, but you know, I was going through the divorce thing, and like I said, you know, I was losing the house, and I was doing a job that I hated, and it just brought that demon out, and I couldn't get him back in the box. Like nowadays, I still struggle with it, but when it gets out, I have plans of attack to get it back in without going down that huge rabbit hole forever. And to be completely honest, I just started therapy with the VA. just now. I've been through 2 sessions, so it took me 48 years to like dig into this. I've never really got any help or tried to get to the root of it, right? So exercise, meditation, all these things are great little band-aids, but it's like taking Advil for a sprained ankle. Yes, it kind of fixes things at the moment, but does it truly address the root cause? And I don't think I've ever addressed the root cause. As I'm going through this therapy stuff, I think I'm starting to understand where that root cause is coming, but it's still early in the process, you know? So I've always recommended exercise. I'll say all the time that this stuff helped me kind of cure my depression, but now I'm thinking back on it, maybe not. Just kind of kept it at bay. You know, the real cure is having the courage to seek help and to say, I'm man enough or woman, or whatever that case may be, to actually ask for help, you know, and that stigma of being weak needs to go away, especially nowadays. You know, veterans, I mean, it used to be 22 a day, but I heard a stat the other day that like 42 a day are killing themselves right now, you know, and a lot of that mentality of not seeking help because you're not strong enough or you're not courageous enough to deal with it on your own is one of the root problems, you know. So just like finding a coach. This whole therapy is the same way, right? It's like I'm approaching the therapy about approaching the same way of getting my 500-pound deadlift. Do the work, you do the practice, you do all the stuff, you know, and that's the analogy, and I get goosebumps thinking about it, but that's the analogy that I'm using. It relates to the gym 100%, just fixing here instead of, you know.
Yeah, I love it, I love it.
And I do want to say real quick, and on that thing of veteran talk, 20 years ago, a friend told me to get into the VA system, and I called, and I got put on hold, and I got transferred, and I would hold, and the call would drop. But I'm telling you, that was like a huge deterrent for a lot of people. But today, I'm getting right through. They're following up, you know what I mean? So if there's people out here listening to this that are afraid to call the VA because they're afraid to get the runaround, do it. It's a different game right now, you know, so awesome. They're doing a much better job at providing service to the vets, definitely.
That's great.
Yeah.
Jeff really nails it here, and I couldn't agree with him more. And to echo what he said, my shit isn't harder than anyone else's shit, but I went through some stuff as a child, and in my early 20s, I saw a therapist almost every week for about 3 years to help me understand and cope with, you know, what had happened. Today, Kat and I still go see a therapist. Sometimes we see our therapist individually, and sometimes we see him together. And that's totally normal, and that's totally fine. It's a healthy thing to do. It's healthy for an individual, it's healthy for a relationship. And what Jeff said, we really need to get rid of the stigma of, you know, seeking help or seeking therapy as a sign of weakness. To all those veterans out there who are struggling right now, as Jeff said, the VA has gotten so much better over the years. They're there to help you, they're there to support you, so please seek out that support. So after sharing some great insights about his depression, I asked Jeff what led him to want to become a coach.
So the hardstyle kettlebell got me inspired to get back into martial arts, which was amazing, right? So my buddy, the Marine, he was doing Kaju Kembo, invited me in for a class, did a few weeks of martial arts, and then asked the instructor if I could bring some kettlebells in there. So I started teaching, you know, the Getup and some things to our martial arts buddies in there. At this point, I still wasn't 100% sure I was going to pursue the whole coaching thing, you know, 100%. I knew I was very intrigued by it, but, you know, everybody I'd tell, they're like, you're an idiot. You know, you're working for a job that has vacation, has all this stuff. It's a retirement job. You got your don't do it. My martial arts instructor got leukemia, and he was training one of those kind of new age preachers that rides a Harley and does kickboxing, you know. He let us move the martial arts gym into like a Hoosier Styles old basketball gym outside the church. So we brought our ring in there, brought all of our stuff in there. The rule with the church is like, you know, you guys don't have to go to the church, but you have to figure out a way to give back, and we're not going to charge you rent. Clint and I came up with the idea that we would run like a kettlebell circuit class in the mornings for the church, and we'd go buy donations. It'd be like a 50-50 split. We'd buy more equipment. The rest would go to the church. It started off slow, but at one point we had like, I mean, the most was up to like 20 people in there at like 6 in the morning, right? You know, my buddy, one day, he's just like, this is what you do, man. It's like, you're fucking happy as shit. People are coming, they're inspired, you know? I mean, do it. Just fucking do it. Don't question it, just do it. So that started turning that wheel. And then one day, you know, I had this boss that I worked for that probably got swirlies his whole life, but now he's in charge of somebody and somebody bigger than him. So he's like, you know, he did that one day, and I just got up, went into the superintendent's office. I said, I'm gone. So now I got to figure it out. I'm losing my house, I'm getting divorced. I got to figure it out. You know, I knew Andrea, so I was living in Mount Vernon, which is about an hour and some change drive to Kettlebells. Yep. I was like, hey, what can I do to get into this business? She's like, well, drive down, do some stuff, help around the studio, we'll get you a client eventually, you know, whatever, right? Yeah. So I'd get up in the morning, I'd drive down to Seattle, do my thing, drive all the way back to Mount Vernon, and then I finally got my first student, great lady named Marjana King, 72 years old, had an amazing goal. Her son was doing a documentary in Morocco, and it was 2 years down the road. She's like, I want to go on this vacation and not have a tour guide waiting for me, not, you know, just kick the shit out of this thing. When we first started, she was literally deadlifting 10 kg from about this high. Before she went, she was doing 5x5 deadlifts with a 48, doing full get-ups, you know, and needless to say, boom. She lived in Edmonds, and she had an apartment downstairs. And she's like, listen, Jeff, you're driving back and forth. This is ridiculous. You can stay rent-free at my place until you build enough clients to get your own place, right? Wow. So there's all this fate stuff just started working, right? Next thing you know, I'm getting more clients at Kettlebells, things are picking up, making an earning living wage, you know, went and got my own place. Yeah, I mean, it just got into it. Started doing all the StrongFirst workshop, traveling around, assisting, got into that team leading gig. I mean, I still have the same passion for it, honestly. You know, I still love coming to work every day. Back then, it was just over the top. It was amazing. I was like living. And like one of the things that I thought to myself as I was quitting this other job, as all these people were telling me not to, was I've seen all these guys that would work that job, they get out of shape and then they retire and die in a lazy boy 2 years later or something, you know, and it's like, if I fall on my face, I don't give a shit, but even if I do this for 6 months, I'm doing something that I'm passionate about. Why would I want to go to my deathbed, have never done anything that I truly love? Somehow I'm still doing it. You know what I mean? But that was it. I mean, I had no idea if I was going to make it 6 months, if I was going to make it a month. No idea. It was just, let's just go and see where it leads me, you know? Yeah. And yeah.
Absolutely. Jeff is 100% passionate about coaching. He is a fantastic coach. I remember the first time I saw Jeff coach, Kat and I were over at Fuel House training, and Jeff was leading an 8-week Simple and Sinister course. And as soon as he started coaching, I looked at Kat and said, oh my God, he's a fantastic coach. Not only does he know his stuff, Jeff imparts his knowledge and he's able to connect with his students through his passion. He draws you in, and I couldn't speak highly enough about how he coaches. But coaching is not always sunshine and lollipops. And in this next section, we get into the challenges of coaching, and Jeff's got some great advice for coaches and would-be coaches.
And it's not easy, man, you know, this job. It may not seem like it, but I'm kind of an introvert in an extrovert world. When I'm not in my realm of passion, I'm not, you know, I mean, I could literally go to Safeco Field right now and have that whole thing full and teach swings and get-ups and be 100% confident. But I'm in front of 10 people. It was like my brother's wedding. There was like 50 people there. I knew half of them. Just trying to give a toast, I was literally spilling my drink. And the tricky part about that for me is you give all day, and then when you get home, it's hard to give to somebody else. You just want to go into your shell, right? People that are looking into getting into coaching, or people that live with coaches, understand that a coach is a shrink. He's a marriage counselor. He or she is, you know, there's so many hats that you wear that, you know, give them some leeway, you know?
You almost want to ask people to have that understanding that we're human, and that, you know, if you ask anybody to give 100% of themselves the entire day, it's extremely exhausting. Yeah,
especially when you're packing around a full wheelbarrow of your own, right? And everybody else is putting rocks in it. It's like, the dichotomy to it all is I freaking love my students, right? So bring it to me, right? Even knowing that it does weigh me down, you know, but it's, I don't know. I love every one of them. I've had to fire 2 students in my 12 years. And I would rather eat top ramen than train someone for an hour that neither one of us getting anything out of it. Right? You know, it's not worth that money to me, you know? So another key to coaching is, I mean, maybe it's hard, especially when you get started, but, you know, train people that you want to train. Train people that jive with you, and that'll make this job so much easier. Because the day that I don't come into work and a smile doesn't crack on my face at least a few times a day is the day I hang it up. you know. And if I surround myself with a bunch of people, I'm just having to struggle to get through a session, that's going to end that really quickly, you know.
So this is the part where Jeff made me tear up. Like Jeff, I'm an introvert, you know, functioning in an extrovert role. He's 100% correct. When you give yourself to your students and to your coaches all day, when you get home, the gas tank is empty and there's not very much left for the people around you. You know, it impacts your relationships, your personal relationships with your partner, with your family, etc. And so it hit home for me. It just, he nails it. So as we wrap up the conversation with Jeff, I asked him if he had the opportunity to talk to his younger self, what would he say?
I would have probably told myself it's okay to show emotion. It's okay to deal with that type of stuff openly. I probably would have told myself pay more attention in school. I would have told myself be the best friend that you can be to as many people as possible, because those are hard to come by. Being an introvert, you know, I'm not the first guy to pick up the phone and do all that type of stuff. It's always been tough for me, so maybe if I would have started younger, I would have built a pattern to where I'd reach out to people more instead of waiting to be reached out to. Yeah, I just would have just told myself to grow up and be a good, honest man and chase your passions and don't wait until you're 35 to do it this time, you know.
5, 10, 15 years from now, what's Jeff doing?
I'd like to have traveling workshops if possible, but I know that's looking a little down right now. Building up my website more and developing subscription things on that to make some income, but mostly I'm a less is more guy, so lessen my possessions and become more of a worldly fella, hopefully.
Yeah, simplifying your life, man.
Simplify my life.
That's right.
Don't have a bunch of shit you're working to pay for, you know, just have what you need. But yeah, I don't want to ever walk away from this completely. I always want to have some toe in this game. I think it's going to keep me younger, number one. And number two, I'm just too passionate about it to totally walk away. So, you know, figure out a way to stay relevant in this stuff and maybe not as much in-person stuff, but yeah.
What do you got going on? What do you want people to know?
For my birthday, a couple friends built me a website, something that should have been done a long time ago. So right now it's just bare bones, but like I said, I'm trying to come up with more programs and stuff on there for sale, generic programs. I'm trying to promote a little more of the virtual one-on-one training. I want to do another thing off of that Sokol Strong TV where I get into more dynamic lifts instead of just the swing and get up. I got my little gear shop out there, the spread shirt, Sokol Strong spread shirt, and that's not about making money. It's just cool when somebody takes a picture in Australia working out in a Sokol Strong shirt. I don't know why, but it just kind of, you know, makes me feel good. As far as coaching wise, I'm trying to promote more small group stuff, specialty programs. They bring me the most joy because everybody's signing up for a mission and everybody's on the same page. And I just really love those like 6 to 10 people, small group focused training stuff. And then of course, you know, keeping some of my one-on-one stuff because I do find enjoyment in that. But yeah, just keep grinding.
Keep grinding, brother. I love it. Thank you so much for sitting here and chatting with me today.
Oh, it's my honor.
I know we went deep, and you actually kind of made me cry. That was not the goal, but you know, it all works out. But you have a tip for us today? A get up tip, is it?
Yeah, how to come out of the hole with purpose and back to the earth with purpose.
All right, you want to get going on it?
Let's go.
All right.
Hey, Jeff here. Going to talk a little bit about the lunge position of the get up. So often we talk about coming up to the elbow, keeping your shoulders shrugged. We talk about the packed shoulder here. We talk about all these different aspects of the get up. But me personally, I'm into doing heavy get ups, right? So it doesn't matter if I'm doing this light, body weight, whatever. I pretty much use this same technique. So when you're coming out of the hole, you got your bell up here. One of the most common mistakes is losing this elbow on the way up or on the way down, which if you're going by standards, that doesn't work, right? So when we learn how to press a kettlebell, we use this full tension and this trigger mechanism to get that load overhead and to use everything that our body can provide us, right? So when I get ready to lunge, I'm thinking about pulling with this leg hard, kicking as hard as I can with this leg, but I incorporate that press trigger, right? So I'll sniff into my core, trigger, wham. And then I think about kind of reverse hydraulics on the way down. I'll release the trigger a little bit. I'll re-sniff and trigger myself back to the earth, right? So kind of helps charge that core to come out of the hole as you would charge your core when you come out of the goblet squat or all these other things, right? So it's one of those key little elements to getting your heaviest get up, in my humblest of opinions.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that conversation and the great get up tip from Jeff. He's such a great guy. I mean, him and I, we're like bros. I want to go fishing with him. If you want to train with Jeff, he's training at a Fuel House gym in Seattle, and you can also visit him at sokolstrong.com. Give him a follow on his Instagram account here, and don't forget to buy one of his t-shirts. If you like this video, give it a like and subscribe, and drop a comment below and let us know what other collabs you'd like us to do. And again, a big thank you to Jeff Sokol. Jeff, you're a wonderful guy. I cannot wait to hang out with you again, and let's go fishing, yeah? And I'll see everyone else in the next video. So I'll see you soon. Bye.